Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry about my co-host, Steve. Welcome to the Steve and Dan Show. My name's Dan. This is Steve. And Steve, I'm just apologising in advance because I think for anyone who watches the show regularly, we kind of know what you're like by now, which is definitely cause for an apology. Anyway, welcome to the show. If this is your first time watching, as I say, my name's Dan Holloway. Before starting an online business, I came from a background in corporate software sales. Working about 70 hours per week, earning good money, but really feeling quite unfulfilled, trading all of my time for that money. And so my big wake-up moment was realizing that any income goal I had in the past had never brought me fulfillment or happiness once I reached that goal. And so therefore, why did I think that an even higher income goal working out of a London software company was going to bring me happiness or fulfillment? So realized I needed to change my path. That's how I discovered the SFM and started my own online business. And here we are today. So Steve, if you'd like to give a little bit of an overview of yourself for anyone watching for the first time, please, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan. Steve Herbert, husband, father, entrepreneur. I've started several businesses, grown several businesses over the years, and I really love the entrepreneurial life. I love the challenge. I love building something. I love creating a business. What I don't love is how it can suck your life away. I ultimately got into that at various businesses in real estate and construction because I wanted to spend more time with my family. I wanted to have control over my life, that sort of thing. And what I quickly discovered is I wound up being owned by my business, really. It controlled my life. My clients controlled my schedule. And that's not why I got into it. That's not what I wanted. I wanted that time with my family. So I went looking for something different, came across the SFM, and here we are today. So that's kind of my brief story. Our guests today are Mitch and Jordi, a couple of awesome guys within the community. Yeah, thank you. These guys over here, where are they? Yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll start with you, Jordi, if you want to give a little bit of your background, and then we'll hear from Mitch. All right, let's do Mitch first.
Age before beauty.
Age before beauty. Well, wait a minute.
Oh, that ruined my start. I was going to say, hi, my name is Dan Holloway.
That name's taken, Jordi.
Okay, that's all I wanted to do. So now you go with Mitch. I have to recoup after that.
Be yourself. He's already taken.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Or be Batman. If you can beat Batman, beat Batman.
That's right.
That's a very good
I
point.
have that sign.
Well, what happens, guys, is because Mitch and I are business partners, we often speak together. So what happens is whoever goes first takes all the other guys' stuff.
Okay, then we got to have Mitch go first because Jordi, you just talk forever.
That's it. And then you're standing there going, okay. Because we spend a lot of time together and we share the same heart and the same message. So
I was born as Peter Pan.
No, that's me. You do not look like Peter Pan.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't fly in tights like you do. No, in all serious, guys,
we should try to have some fun.
We do have fun, and that's why Jordi and I actually started the Play It Life Club, which is our company that we're building. But who are we? So a lot like Steve, I am a husband and father. I have 3 children. Husband of 20 years, 28 years with my wife. I've been actually labeled several times as a serial entrepreneur. When I joined Jordi in the SFM, I currently owned 8 different businesses, this now being my 9th. But where did I come from? I came from having absolutely zero time. When I met Jordi, I was the guy that had the cell phone glued to my hand all the time, was constantly stressed and pressured, was trying to juggle, multitasking 10 things at once. And, I'm pretty good at it, but it didn't allow me to be present, in the moment and really do the things that I love to do, which is much like what you were saying, Steve, is be with my kids. Kind of dressed right now. I'm going to coach my daughter's basketball team right after we have this call with you.
Cool.
So I started working full time when I was 18 years old, built up businesses, and to make a long story short, from losing close to $2 million from various people taking advantage of me, companies going bankrupt, industry changing. I was in the clothing business, and with online shopping, My customers were just getting hammered. I lost 9 customers in one summer back in 2010. And I realized that I had to start working smarter than harder. I was working probably 7 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day, up at 4, sometimes till midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. I did what I had to do, especially because I was dealing with overseas, China, India, Bangladesh. So I was constantly working, sitting at the dinner table, having dinner with my family, but constantly being on the phone, constantly being on emails and not paying attention to them. So even though I was there, I wasn't, I was physically there. I wasn't actually there in the moment. And I realized that had to change. The funny thing is, I did go look on the internet for me, and I was very skeptical from what I saw, because everything that I found was all about money. And I'm a very money-oriented person, from where I came from, and, in my background and our heritage and the community that we're from. Everything is all judged on how much you have, what car you drive, how big is your house, and, if you have more than one house. And it just put a lot of pressure on me as a father, to just keep giving my kids, what I thought they needed. But what they actually needed was just a dad who was present and there for them, and to, talk with them and help them through their day. And that's something that I've really changed and started to learn. So going back to being on the internet for myself, I thought everything was a scam, because everything I came across was, guys like Ty Lopez and stuff, and people that are just throwing money at you and driving in Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and, you could have the cash now and stuff. And I know I'm smarter than that, because I know that in order to build a business, you have to work hard. You have to put the time, the effort, the energy, cash flow, everything into it. And you have to commit to it, So I never resonated with anything, and I just shied away from it. And I said, okay, this is, my life. And I just tried to structure some of the things that I did, and tried to put people in place in my own businesses that would alleviate some of the time. And I started to get better at that. But that's why I have 8 different businesses going, because I needed that kind of cash flow just to live the life that we were living, So again, it was just being no fulfillment for myself, and then I met Jordi, and everything changed.
All right, Jordi, you want to share a little bit about your history prior to SFM?
Sure, Steve. I'm Jordi, and I am. No one else mentioned this. I'm Canadian.
I got my point.
Sound more like Steve than like Dan, but Mitch and I are Canadian. We're from Montreal, and I am a dad of 2 beautiful kids, teenagers, and an awesome husband. My beautiful wife, who I hope now watches this, because thanks for sharing it like that. I
accidentally leave it playing.
Yeah. Well, through the journey, I learned that it's about everybody else. So it's become, I used to hear Mitch introduce himself and talk, about his family. And me, it was always me, I. So I've been on this journey. So I was, like Mitch made a joke earlier, I was born as Peter Pan. And I say it like that because I was the most fun, playful, happy-go-lucky kid. I'm an artist. I'm a designer. I've always been a creative. And I also love every sport, including water sports and wind sports and all kinds of crazy things. I kiteboard, I ski, I sail, I mountain bike. I do all kinds of, I've jumped out of a plane, stuff like that. But I didn't do that for a long time. Okay. Because what happened is, as what happens to most of us, I was taught all the rules. Okay. Which is why, hence my reference to Peter Pan. We were taught that we can't fly, and we have to stay in line and we have to follow the rules. And we go to school and we're not taught things that we're passionate about. We're graded according to others and what we could spit back on a test, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Further in life, it was the same sort of thing. You're brought up, you have to look at the type of career. Which career are you going to choose? And it's according to what income level you're going to make. So you could, find a good girl, settle down, have a family, support your family, put food in your kids' mouths, have a 2-car garage and a minivan, and and the picket fence and the whole thing. And we have all that. Okay. And the career I chose, I was a kitchen designer. So, I used to help people. I'd help couples every day remodel their homes and make beautiful kitchens. I'm very talented when it comes to kitchen design. So I loved it. I loved the creative part. And I got to, draw pretty pictures all day. But eventually it was business. It was competing with everybody else. It was having a staff in order to keep up. It was managing people, putting out fires, being a couples therapist to people that are in renovation in a stressful situation. Steve's laughing because he shares an industry and knows what that's about. Yeah. And it was stress every day. No more fulfillment. No more creativity. No more inner child. No more, I want to fly. It was working from very early morning to very late at night. Rushing through traffic. I remember sitting in traffic and rushing, like trying to get the cars out of my way. I laugh at it now because I was trying to get to a job that I hated to meet with people that I didn't want to meet with. Like the irony was, the whole situation was ridiculous. Eventually, looking back and connecting the dots, I'm pretty in touch with that today. I sabotaged my business. It went bankrupt. It was inevitable, and I think it had to, and thank God it did. So, and I share that because I know bankruptcy is very hard for a lot of people, and nobody wants to say the B word, but it's just a word, and it's just a thing that happens. And failure teaches. Looking back, it was such a hard time. I got very, very depressed. I was on a lot of pills. I was about 25 pounds heavier. I already wasn't doing any of the fun things that I've described that I love doing. I was like sitting in the dark all the time, sitting by the river crying, trying to figure out my life. So now I'm 25 pounds heavier. I'm like a vegetable because they put me on so much medication just to cope. My business is drowning. I can't go home to my family because I am not that person that I want to bring home to my family. It was a very, very tough time for me. And one day a switch went off inside of me. And probably because in a last effort, I love learning stuff. So I was out there searching actually on the internet. And it's so funny, like whenever one of us says this, it's like, I was searching on the internet, but it's true. I'm a YouTube junkie. I learned how to things I fix around the house. I learned from YouTube. I think a lot of us do at this point. So it was just searching for, there's got to be something else. And I looked at all my aptitudes and all the things I got to change. Can I change my life? There's got to be some, all these things I used to love. I love everything. How am I stuck in this position? And one day I just figured it out. And I went home and I said to my wife, because I was standing there at the edge, and I pictured my children. And I went home and said to my wife, okay, everything changes starting today. The status quo is now going to change. I want to get back in touch with that person that was me, that little kid inside of me that I loved to death. I want him to guide me. She's like, what do you mean? She didn't understand all of this. All of a sudden I'm smiling. She hadn't seen me smile in a long time. I'm crazy. I've lost it. You're
panicked.
She's going to drive me to the psych ward. I was sure. But actually, that was the best moment of my life because what happened, and we had a lot of mud to wade through at that point because I stopped working for quite a while because I needed to reboot the whole system that was me to become that rock, to become that foundation for my family. And I'm a little bit hardcore when I get into things. I learn everything there is to know. I practice everything that excites me. I'm all in. And I got all in. And as soon as I started to open my eyes and believe in possibility and having my life back again, boom, pops Amy Taylor, who is my SFM affiliate, like an angel onto the screen.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how she found me. Did I find her? Did she find me? She's talking to me. Like all those other little ads that you press like skip, all of a sudden, this beautiful British accent, beautiful blonde girl with these gleaming eyes is talking to me, not to anybody else, just to me, you know, telling me that like the life that I've been looking for, how I'm going to go and start living it. And that's what I did. And everything changed. And
then how did you guys get connected? Who wants to tell that?
You want me to go? I love this story, and he hates hearing it over and over and over again. Can we give the Twitter version?
So here's what happened. After a short while, okay, so I joined SFM, and I dove into the modules, and I loved it. I loved every part of it. Okay, I was going to learn how to build relationships and communicate with people and find niche markets, which is something I never figured out for my old business, you know, because I did a very high-end product and I was stuck competing against everybody. So now I'll be able to find my marketplaces and you know, discover different niches, do different things, products, services, things I believe in, I'm passionate about. I got all gung-ho about this whole thing. But again, I'm an old guy and I'm stuck in computer land, locked in my office day and night. My family didn't see me for about 6 weeks. Then came Momentum Day. They're having an event in New York City. Come meet Stuart Ross and Jay Kubasek. I told my wife, we're going to New York for the weekend. She goes, what? Why are we going to New York? And she loves New York. It's like, why are we going to New York all of a sudden? I said, I'm going to meet Stu and Jay. This is your thing. She still didn't believe in it. She supported me, but it was my thing. So I hopped in my car and I got a cheap hotel in New York City and I went to Momentum Day. And I was me and this other guy were the first people there at like 7:30 in the morning. We showed up early and that day changed my life because I've never been in a room with a couple of hundred people before that were just like me, that shared the same energy. They had shared the same story. Everybody was stuck in a life that they hated and was there to find out if this was real and how they could have that life of freedom and fulfillment, you know, beyond just the labels and the words. Like, how do we do this? It was amazing. It was completely amazing. That day transformed my life. And I drove home, shot my first video in the car driving home. Crying my eyes out, knowing that this is my life. This is what I'm going to do for at least the next 20 years. And I'm going to give back and I'm going to help people because some angel came and saved me now. And I'm now here for a greater purpose. But I'm a creative, as I mentioned, and I can't do this alone. So I needed a partner. I needed somebody that understands business and money, somebody that I could, you know, that I could hand over the ball, you know, and he could run with it because I just keep creating new things all the time and I have that type of energy. So I'm going to run this like a proper business and really turn it into something quite amazing so it can do all kinds of amazing things in the world. So I made a wish for a partner, but not just any partner. It had to be someone just like me with a huge heart, who's not afraid to cry in front of people, express his emotions, be real. I don't put up with bullshit. I don't put up with lies and politics and all of that kind of crap. I am, you know, especially at this point, because I thought I was authentic and vulnerable, but SFM, going through the journey the past year, I've been called out a few times. So these days, I think I'm as real as I've ever been. And I made a wish for this wonderful person, and then the phone rang. And this guy named Mitch introduced himself and wanted me to come and help. He and his wife were redoing their kitchen. And, you know, which is really ironic because this one thing that was the thorn in my side, which was the kitchen industry. And here comes my new business partner inviting me to do his kitchen. I built him a beautiful kitchen. We became best friends. We hit it off right away. We hung out together. We went mountain biking together. We started doing all kinds of things. We'd run around and shopping and like get things for his kitchen. And I held back the whole time, but I wanted to tell him, you know, I started getting this feeling that, you know, maybe this could be the person and we could build this business and this life together. So I said, at some point, like when we're done your project, I want to tell you about something. And I called him. This kitchen was done. He had to put everything back together. It was the high holidays coming up, and he was having people over the next week. And I called him late Thursday night because I had this epiphany. I was going to, the same way that I went to New York City to feel in touch the people and see that this was all real, I was going to do the same thing to Mitch. And there was Momentum Day coming up in Vegas. So I called Mitch Thursday night and said, okay, we got to go to Vegas. He's like, what do you mean we got to go to Vegas? I said, we got to go to Vegas. These guys that I want you to meet and like find out about this business that, you know, I think we could build together. They're in Vegas. There's an event. The event was Saturday. So Mitch
I love this story
just to make sure everybody understands the context. Mitch knows this much about the SFM at this point. He knows Zippo.
So what you have to understand something about me, Steve, is, you know, and I didn't tell you the whole, you know, Mitch story because not everybody has like hours upon hours of my interesting story. But I will tell you that I was the kid that would not be able to sit still in class. You know, I was the kid that was always bouncing around because I was always dreaming and stuff. And what happens when you're in class, you know, the teacher tells you, sit down, shut up. And, you know, they're trying to put like a round peg in a square hole, you know. And I was always picked on because I was heavy and this and that, red hair, blah, blah. You know, Gingy understands.
Yeah, I do.
You know, and I remember my elementary school principal said to me, she stuck her finger right in my face and she went, you'll never amount to anything in your entire life.
Oh.
And that, you know, telling an 11-year-old child that is hugely damaging. But what I learned now through SFM and, you know, working through my own timeline, what I've come to realize is that has made me who I am today. And even that negative thing, you know, like all greatness comes out of, you know, struggles and bad things happening and stuff. So like Jordi talked about bankruptcy and stuff, that's always been my biggest fear. And that's why I've worked so hard, you know, because I've always feared of not being able to put food on the table for the kids or a roof over their heads. And I always feared that maybe I would just prove everybody right, that I was never good enough. You know, even my own parents were always hard on me, and always, you know, was never happy with anything I did. Like, it was always like, well, why didn't you do this? Or why couldn't you have done that better? You know? So I guess I always strive to make sure that I would never make any of them right, you know? So as an entrepreneur, I always realized that my gut served me well. And even though, as I said, I got taken for business because I have a big heart and I've always done everything to help other people. I realized that the fact that they stole money from me was not on me. It wasn't my bad judgment. That was their bad judgment. You know, listen, I have to open up my eyes more clearly and stuff and see evil in people, but I don't necessarily like to do that because I like to go with my values and my gut feelings, you know, of goodness in people. And that's what I was looking for. And I was always striving to find those people and surround myself with them. You know, any good leader knows that if you want to succeed in business, you want to surround yourself with successful people, you know? Mm-hmm. So that was something I was looking for, but never had a chance to really tap into. So when Jordi said, you know, we got to go to Vegas, although I was like really frustrated that he told me like 12 hours before, and he knows I'm a planner and stuff, and I take care of the kids. I'm the one that does the carpool and stuff. And, you know, my wife said to me two things that I remember today. She said, you'll never do anything that'll ever hurt our family. And, you know, your guts always served you well. So go with it. So, you know what? We booked tickets. We got on a flight. We flew like the red eye via this way, that way, and the other way. We got there. We were exhausted. And like you said, I knew nothing. I'd never seen a video. I'd never heard a name, nothing. And here we go. And we show up at the front door. We have no tickets for the event that's sold out. And Jordi, you know, when I show up and they're like, yeah, sorry, we're sold out. And like Jordi said, no, you don't understand. I just brought this guy here to see this, and he's got to meet Jay and Stu. And anyways, he worked it out. And we wanted a discount.
I wanted the early bird special because that's be full.
Well, we don't pay retail. We only pay wholesale, you know. So,
Awesome.
you know, so we walk in the door and we get our tickets. We walk in the door and all of a sudden this woman comes running up. Jordi, haven't seen you since New York. And she gives him a big hug, you know. And then she looks at me and she goes, and who are you? And I go, oh, I'm Jordi's buddy we brought up. And she just grabs me and gives me this huge hug. Oh, welcome. Come on in. And I'm like standing there like this. And I look at Jordi and I go, what the fuck happened? Like, where did you take me? This is a cult and they're all going to steal our money, you know? And, you know, like it was just freaked out. So we sat down and, you know, we saw these speakers and to make a long story short, I didn't understand a word of it. I didn't get it.
And I didn't breathe all day because I was sitting beside him. He was so full of, he was a very different energy dude in those days. And it's like, where am I? And he kept checking his phone and doing businesses and he had things to take care of and all of this and like aggravated and falling asleep and all this. And I'm thinking like,
yeah, because I'm a 46-year-old dad who knows nothing about technology, and Jay's talking about artificial intelligence. And although I understand about, you know, people losing their jobs because there's cashless registers now and stuff, and it's all, you know, sounds good. And then, you know, Guy and Elan, started getting up. They talking about Facebook and YouTube and clicks and funnels and pixels and stuff, and I just didn't understand anything, you know. And then all of a sudden, this tall Amazon gets up. He's 6'7", the most incredible presence, right? And he gets up and he starts to say,
I think you want to say Adonis, not Amazon.
Yeah, no, he's an Amazon from here on out.
He's seeing this footage.
You don't mean Justin Wolf, do you? The Amazon?
Surely not.
The Adonis Amazon, and I love him dearly. He's a real great friend and brother. But what happened is he got up on stage and he started to talk about these 8-figure businesses that he had built. And he started to talk about having millions of dollars going through his fingers. And he started to talk about having cars and houses. And I had that. And that's where I was at. And I've had businesses that have made several millions of dollars. And I've lost it, you know. And then he's talking about how he lost the money and stuff. And, you know, business got tough and crashes. And he got rid of one business and tried to start another. And I started to say, hey, like, that sounds like me. And then all of a sudden he stopped and he looked out at the audience and he said, and I had all this money and I wasn't happy and I had zero fulfillment. And all of a sudden my ears went up and I looked at Jordi and I go, I don't understand the thing that was mentioned all day today, but that's me. And that I get. Because my life revolved all about money. I thought everything and all the problems that I was having was all going to be solved about getting more money. And that's why I kept chasing money. And like, that was the first time my eyes really opened to the possibility of maybe money's not the answer. Yeah, you know, it's a tool. We all need it. We need to pay the bills and stuff. That's great. But that's not what makes me happy. And I started to think about, or Jordi said to me, like, what makes you happy as a person? I'm like, oh, I love going biking with you. And I love when we're out in the outdoors and I love going skiing with my kids and I love throwing catch with my son and stuff. And it, like, all these things were not money driven. They were all just like intrinsic values that were inside of us as dads. And that's where we wanted to invest our energy, you know? So make a long story short, didn't work out. We couldn't spend more time talking with people and that. We went for this amazing hike the next day, you know, and we needed to get out in the outdoors because that's what Jordi and I realized from that moment right through till today, our best thinking and our best talks. And it's funny because like now I'll say that our corporate meetings happen in the outdoors because that's where we enjoy being. You know, so we went for this hike and Jordi
but I'm still panicking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still panicking because the part I think I forgot to mention is when I drove home from New York, I knew that I was going to become a member of DEA and I was going to be black. Right. Yeah. And that's why I needed this partner to get my business to that point. Because Black is all about leadership. Platinum is all about building your personal brand. And I wanted to swim in that sea. Because I want to build this, great big empire that I can give back and I could help the whole world and change the world.
Yeah.
We leave the event that night, and the first 50 people got to go to this special cocktail party. And first 50 people, we didn't even have tickets to anything, right? So we were like, no, you can't come in. That's it. The event's over. And
nobody says no to us.
And we're out. And I'm like, and I didn't sleep all night. And I'm in Vegas, and I hate Vegas, and I don't like the casinos and the dinging, and the oxygen.
Saying, I know we have to be there. I know that we're just meant to be there, So, and he kept talking, and so we went on this beautiful hike, and he's videotaping, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's videotaping, he's talking to the camera. I didn't really get it and understand why and stuff, But we had this amazing hike, and all of a sudden we came down with such amazing energy. The two of us just were like lit up and just in a great mood and stuff. And our plan was we were going to go back to our hotel, go for a swim, and we had the red eye to go home that night. So we were going to go.
And then we said to each other, screw that. We're going to go back and find that hotel. We're going to knock on Jay Kubisek's door, because Jay's the one that I think that I really grew to love Jay. Like, I resonated with Jay the minute I met him in New York personally. I'm very much in love with Jay. I was at first.
Well, you were starstruck with Stu too, so, and Jay.
Because but Jay's nutty like I am, so
Jay, exactly.
So down to earth, real. So I'm gonna go find Jay and tell him I don't understand why you guys didn't explain to Mitch why we have to be Black, and I need you to do that right now. Okay.
So
awesome.
We looked up at the street sign, and we didn't even know where the hell we were, right? Because we're out near the canyons. Wherever we look up at the street sign, and we were on the same street as the day before at Momentum Day, where that Marriott was. It's like, oh shit, the hotel is like just 2 minutes down the road. Yeah. So we drove to the hotel.
The universe manifested that one.
Yeah.
So me being the aggressive one, so we show up at the hotel. Go up to the front desk with Jordi, and he's all shy, and he's like, he smiles at everybody, and he's like, hi, and I go, and I say to the girl behind the desk, I said, listen, I'm Jay Kubisek's cousin. I just flew in on the red eye. We got to go up to his room now. It's a surprise. He's not expecting us. She's like, I'm sorry, sir. We can't give you the room key. And Jordi's like, you know what? Maybe they're at the pool. Let's walk over to the pool. So we start walking over to the pool, and there's this guy walking around the pool with a camera. And all of a sudden, Jordi walks up to me and goes, hey, weren't you the guy that was videotaping yesterday at the SFM Momentum Day? And he goes, yeah, my name is Tony. And he goes, oh, cool. Can we have a moment of your time? And, Tony's like, for sure. Why not? And he starts to talk to us. And all of a sudden, this beautiful young lady walks up right behind Tony. And Jordi's face lights up.
I'm like, oh, my God, goes, you're Tony and Carmen.
And I look at him and I go, who the fuck is Tony and Carmen? So she comes up and she introduces herself, and she has this nice German accent and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it reminds me of my mother's family and stuff. And, she starts to talk to us, and she says something very interesting. She goes, so what are you doing here? And Jordi tells him a quick story, and we need to see Jay Kubisek. And she's like, well, why don't you come talk with us? And we're like, no, we don't want to bother you and stuff. And she's like, no, come sit down with us. And literally, it was I think 3.5, 4 hours later that, that they spent with us, and they just listened, and they kept saying, so what is it that you want in your life? What is it you're looking for? And she wasn't she told me a beautiful story, how they been on the road for 3 years, and they've been living this laptop lifestyle. And I said, that's great. I have kids. I can't go on the road for the next 3 years, although I would love to take my wife, somewhere to Europe on a trip, but I can't do that. And she said, no, you don't understand. We do whatever it is we want to do. We go wherever it is we want to go because we have that luxury. We have our business goes with us, in this laptop and on your cell phone, and you just need an internet connection and you go. And she said, so how can we show you how to do that? And I said, well, you know what? You're not going to spend time with me because Jordi has this girl, Amy Taylor, that he keeps talking about, this angel that I'm waiting to meet, because she's our affiliate. She says, no, you don't understand.
Mitch couldn't understand people helping other people, spending their time with people. You know, they were there. It's gorgeous out. They could be swimming in the pool. They could be like off partying, doing like relaxing, doing whatever. And here they are. They spent 4 hours with us, just explaining the reality of where we are and the potential of the system and what it's going to do for us. I say it that way, not what it can do, because what it's going to do. Because
or what it's doing already.
That's so different than the normal hard-nosed business world where everybody's guarding their secrets and how they do things. And that's a lot, I'm sure, Mitch, coming from the business world, that like, this doesn't compute. This doesn't compute.
Well, it didn't compute. And it's funny because I don't like to make it about the money now, but I said to Carmen, I said, okay, so explain to me something. How are you going to make money off me? Because if you're going to help, if you're going to give me money to help me, right? My general business mind is, okay, so there's like something she's not telling me. There's some back doorway that she's going to, and she goes, no, I'm not going to make money. That's Amy's job. And I said, okay, you're willing to help me? She says, absolutely. She says, and I'm there for you, like in your personal life, in your business life, whatever it is that you need from me, I'm there for you. That's the type of person that we are. And I was like, whoa, and started to click, you know, like something happened in that moment that I said, okay, there's something that I'm not seeing. There's something much more to this, you know? And I said, okay, can you explain that? And she started to talk about this whole community. And all of a sudden, like she mentions it, and people start to come down from their rooms to the pool, you know, because they had a late night out. They were drinking in Vegas and stuff and partying. And all of a sudden, they all start to show up at the pool. And they're chatting and talking and having a great time. And I was like, this is something I've been looking for my whole life. I mean, people that you're going to work with, but also are going to be like you, you know, and share the same values as you. And it started to, like, Jordi started to tap something in me that I had buried so deep down in me that I needed to have come up for me to become the person I already was, but was never allowed to be. That we just, the conversation went from there. And then Wolf came down and he, you know, he says, oh, I remember you from yesterday. And I gave him a 5-minute quick thing about my life. And he says, here's my personal cell phone. Call me when you get home. And I was like, whoa. And I'm saying this billionaire guy is, you know, and he doesn't have $1 billion, but you know what I'm saying? A guy that comes from that type of background and stature, and he's like a leader at the top of the community. And I'm like, you know, I was considering myself a nobody at that time. And, you know, because that's who I always push myself, because I always consider myself a loser, because that's the way I was always told. I was always picked on. So that's the way I felt. You got to understand something. I was 60 pounds heavier. I was a grumpy, angry, arrogant guy who was just not happy with life. And this guy said, I'll be accessible to you to help you and change your life. And I said to Jordi, I said, oh, you know, like after a conversation with him, I said, okay, I don't know what it means to go black, but let's go home and go black, because I, you know, and then we went and met, you know, Dan on the Black Retreat back in February, and like so many different stories that we could tell you that just completely changed for us.
Yeah, I just want to make sure before we go on, is this the 2-hour special?
Yeah.
This is, right? It's the season opener of the Steve and Dan show. So like,
yeah, exactly. It's going to be in 2 parts.
It has to be, because just the intro was the first hour.
Yeah, that's just to get us to SFM.
We could make it the cliffhanger. And we could,
there we go. And to find out what happens to Mitch and Jordi,
if you want to find out what happened to Mitch and Jordi, you know, stay tuned.
If you want to know,
join SFM and we'll let you know.
That's what we're join
Click the link.
Come join us. If you want, we'll give you a Twitter version of it, but it's just, I'll just say this.
The Twitter version is easy. We keep fighting Dan Holloway for the top of the leaderboard. Ta-da! That's
there you go.
Which really means absolutely nothing to me, and that's why it's so funny.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, quite
all I wanted was that camera.
Guys, it not only, for me, it not only changed my life, but it saved my life. When the doctors told me a couple of years ago that if I didn't lose weight, I wouldn't even be around to be with my kids, and I just didn't know how to go about changing that. And one of the things that I learned to do was to love myself and to love me for who I am and what I can bring to others. And I never had anybody allow me to be that authentic and be that person. And when I walked into that Black retreat back in February, I was a totally different person than I am today.
Yeah.
And not just physically, emotionally, mentally, and there's nothing like it. The fact that I sit down at the dinner table now and we have a conversation with our kids and I'm there for them as a dad and as a friend.
Yeah.
In such a different manner. Because I surround myself with guys like you who are in my life. It's crazy that they call this a business because it's not. And people, like, it's funny, like, to put it in my weight terms, people ask me, so, did you go on a diet and stuff? It's like, no, I don't diet. I change my whole lifestyle. Everything that I eat and breathe and read and work at and do and play now, it is fun because I enjoy waking up in the morning with a smile on my face rather than bricks on my chest, like only worrying about, am I going to have enough money to live?
Yeah.
Now, Jordi and I just wake up in the morning and like, we just want to know, how can we help someone else? And let's have fun doing it. And how are we going to do that? That's what our day consists of. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah. And Mitch, you know what? I mean, we in this community, and I think, how can I put this? Yeah. In this community, there's some people that come through and, like, you hear success stories. You've got like financial success, or like, someone's achieved success and that they've changed themselves in some way or something. But every now and then you get somebody who just has an utter personal transformation in every single possible area of their life, like their physical self, their relationships with the people that they love and that they care about, the like in your case, your health and the future that you have. Like, every single thing about your future, correct me if I'm wrong, is like, it's literally the polar opposite. It's a completely different path. And when you stood up in where was it, in Phoenix, I think you stood on stage and you shared your journey and you shared about the weight loss, but more importantly, you shared about how everything is different. You look at that, and for myself, I look at that and I think that is literally, I couldn't think of anything more inspiring and a better example to people who want to make this change in themselves than you. And like, I don't know any other like business system or whatever you want to call it, where even a fraction of that result would be possible, because this isn't a business system, like you say. It's like, it's a vehicle to enable you to change your life in any way that you want and surround yourself with the most awesome group of people who are going to help you get there. And like, seeing that in you, Mitch, I just want to say to you, buddy, is like, I can't put into words how inspiring it's been. And I know that there's so many people whose lives 100% will be changed for the better because of what you've done and because of, the leader that you've been to people. So thank you for sharing your story, bud.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I do that, and I take that, and I really appreciate that.
Of course,
really
man.
Perfect. Thank you. And Jordi, same for you and what you pulled yourself out of.
Yeah.
And the realization that you had that Peter Pan in you was dying and you couldn't smother him anymore. That's pretty incredible to be able to see that in yourself.
Thank you.
Know that you needed a change and be brave enough to make that change, even though I bet you at the time it was really scary, to take the steps that you needed to do to make that happen. And that's just really inspiring to see that, and for you to be able to share that with people, because I know that's you guys have different stories and they're just as inspirational, for different reasons. So
that's
really
why.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you.
But what's most interesting is when we went to the Black Retreat and we went to Platinum, and Jordi will tell you this, you meet tons of different people from all over the world, from different age ranges, male, female, husband, father, daughter, single. And we all come from different stories.
Yeah.
But we're all exactly the same.
Yeah.
And to me, it was amazing. Like, every story, it was exactly like mine. It was that, Jordi explains it better, but I'm just overwhelmed right now with you guys. Thank you so much for having me here with you.
Of course, guys. We really appreciate it. I've got a question for you guys, actually. so your story and the way that this happened, right? So if you were to look at the the statistical chance of all of those random events leading to that moment that you guys are sitting here right now with your life completely transformed, everything from, like, you know, your wives, in your case, Mitch, probably it was your wife talking to you in that way, then 12 or 24 hours before, that maybe led you to make that decision to go. And that only happened because Jordi reached a certain point and he happened to meet you for a kitchen that you came to him to, you know, to build, and he saw that there was a potential for him to need a business partner and maybe saw that in you, and then deciding not to go home and instead deciding to go to the hotel and bumping into Tony and then having that conversation. Like, if you looked at the chance of all of this happening, right, I don't know, 100 trillion to 1 or something absurd. Yeah. So, but it was always going to happen that way. And this is the beauty of it. Like, you guys were in that space, and Jordi especially, I think, was in that space where he was going to manifest it, whatever the fuck it took. You know, it was going to happen. So yeah. What would you say, Jordi, probably more directed this question out, what would you say was maybe the reason, or the drive, or how would you articulate what made all of this come together through that obscene chance in 1 in a billion that it was going to happen? Like, what in you made you almost know that this was the path that was going to unfold? Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. Excuse me. I don't even have to really think about the answer to that, Dan. The answer is belief. I believed that this was going to be my future. And I saw it. And, you know, and I put my energy in the right place. And yes, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe more in it than I do in reality, I think. I think a lot of us do, because as we're manifesting all kinds of wonderful things. So, you know, shame on whoever doesn't open up their minds to just accept these things. We are all connected energy. And when we get to that place of amazing positive energy, you know, that we are truly connected to everybody else and we're resonating on that same frequency and that same vibration, and, you know, just in touch with wonder and beauty, you become that beam of light, and things start to happen for you. And I believed in that, and it just started to unfold one piece at a time, you know, to the point that my favorite part of what I do now, right? I gave up, like I said, my day job was making pretty pictures. And now my other passion in creativity was photography and videography. So I'm a videographer and a video editor, and I make these amazing videos all the time. And that's what I get to do all day. You know, and I love to play with people and talk to people and relate to people and meet people all over the world that are, you know, that have like interests, the same like interests to me. I can't talk to the people across the street. I've tried, you know, when the weather's nice, we stand outside and we talk. They think I'm crazy. They're stuck in their box, in their worlds, you know, that they got to wake up early and go to work and be stressed all the time. The guy across the street, you watch him, he's like a robot. Yeah. It's like, and I feel bad, you know, because I see the light and I know how life is. You know, you know, the actors in Hollywood and all the superstars that we're all laughing at, they got it right, people. You know, the world is smoke and mirrors. It's just wake up every morning with a smile on your face and in your heart and go play. Yeah. We should all, you know, play at life all the time. That's what we need to do. Awesome. And get in touch with that inner child. And, you know, the business stuff, the money stuff, it'll just come.
Yeah.
When you learn to build relationships and just share things with people that will inspire them and will change their lives and make them open their minds and open their hearts, they will want to know more about it. Mm-hmm. You know? And that's just how it works. So just share with one another, if that could be my message.
Yeah, and for me, a lot of that belief came in believing in Jordi and believing in myself too. And that's why I never looked at it as spending money. I looked at it as an investment in us, in our education, in us growing. And it's funny because for someone who said, like earlier on, that I knew nothing about this type of technology. Now I'm loving learning it. I'm loving learning things that I'm becoming passionate about, like even in my health and stuff. Ask Jordi, like I'm constantly reading stuff. Like I never used to do that. I'm calling people and delving into it, you know, because I'm investing in myself. And one of the things that we tell people and we share is that the only way not to succeed in this business is if you quit. You know, otherwise there's no chance that you won't succeed at something that'll better your life.
Definitely.
You know, and it's amazing.
That's awesome, Mitch.
Going back to you, Jordi, you talked about belief, and you know, that was the one thing that got you there. So think about somebody that's watching this and they don't have the belief yet. They haven't gone to an event. Maybe they're just considering it. They're really at the front end of the journey. And I'd like to hear this answer from both of you. One piece of advice that you'd give them to help them get into that belief, get beyond maybe the doubt or the fear.
Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice that you'd give them? And each one of you, if you could just touch on that quickly.
Oh, I can answer this so many different ways.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to give you a short answer.
Good
You
luck.
have to leave in 10 minutes to go to basketball.
Okay.
So good.
I'll try to be within 10 minutes for my short answer. Just kidding. Everything, we all get in our own way. Let's put it this way. So we got to learn. Let's put it this way. Become your rock, become your foundation. Okay. Love yourself. Figure out how to love yourself. If you could pretend, I call it belief. I do believe, but even if you don't yet, if you could pretend for 2 minutes that nothing's real and you got nothing to lose, deep down, like search deep down, remember that inner child, remember yourself as a 3-year-old, as a 4-year-old. Think about what was beautiful about life and beautiful. What was your favorite thing to do? Get in touch with that. And then become that person. Because life is really that simple. All the other stuff is learned. Because we learn fear and we learn shame. And it's fear and shame that keep us from getting to the life that we deserve. So get out of your own way. Figure out how to get beyond the fear and beyond the shame. Because really, if you think about it, there's nothing to be afraid of. What are you going to do? You're going to fail? Okay, so you'll fail at something, and then you'll look at what you did wrong, and you'll do it better. You know, especially in an environment like this where there's so many people that you become friends with that support you because we're all doing all the same stuff every day. So it's such a wonderful environment. You know, I would never do anything without a community, without support. For the rest of my days. This is just how it is. This is how life is now. So find that friendship. Stop being alone in the world. You're not on the hook for anything. Find that support, find the friendship, share the love beyond just the words. Find the love for yourself, share that love, and stop being so afraid. And don't be ashamed because you're an amazing, amazing being. You're a beam of light. You need to share that.
Awesome. Great answer, Jordi.
Thank you.
That was a mic drop, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll just add on one little thing.
True.
Because, and we tell everybody, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I'll tell you where I came from that moment. I'll paraphrase Stuart Ross, who said something to me, and we all fall in love with Stuart Ross. So I'm sure a lot of you out there maybe are starting to really listen to Stu and hear his message. So I'll just share a message that he shared with me at the DA Black event. And these are like privileged things, but because it happened to me, I'll share it with you. I was in a very uncomfortable moment when I was there. The reason was it was my wife's birthday, and I wasn't there here in Montreal for her birthday. I was out changing my life. And although I missed being with her, I needed to be there because every day since I've been here for her, you know, and had I not been there, I would have been there physically, but never mentally. And I shared something at that moment, and Stu pulled me aside and he said to me, says, you have a lot of preconceived notions about our business and what, what you're going to learn. And then I said, yes, I do. He says, do you have a lot of thoughts of how this event is going to go? I said, yeah. He says, put that all aside. Try to clear out your mind and your heart and just allow you to have that vulnerability that you just showed and enter your new life like that. And he said, I want you to understand something. I'm a CEO of this big business. I don't have all my shit figured out either. Okay? He says, but if you have my back, like I have your back, then we can change our lives together. And it was like, that was the moment that everything clicked for me together. And that was really the changing moment in my life that allowed me to become that transformation you talked about, Dan. And that's what I would share with somebody who's scared or feels alone, stuck in the shadows. It's okay. It's okay to feel like that. And it's okay to come on and watch a webinar or something and stay in the dark. But just know that we are here for you. And when you are ready to open up your mind and heart like that, and just allow that beauty, that beam of light that Jordi talked about to be shared, grab onto someone. It doesn't have to be Dan or Steve. It could be me or Jordi or anybody in this community that you'll connect with. We are all here to share with you and be a part of.
Awesome.
Mic drop. Love you guys. Gotta go coach basketball because that's
go be with your family, right?
Yeah.
Go take care of the family. Guys, thank you so much for spending the time. Really, really appreciate it. Awesome way to end it. Love yourself, and we're here for you. 2 great messages.
Thank you guys. I think thank you for having us on your show, because I think it's great what you guys are doing. Makes us think a lot, because the only good of us sharing our story is if it could open somebody else's mind and heart to possibility. You know, that there is, they have options. You all have options. So, take a good hard look and see how you want your life to be for the next 20, 30, 40 years and take a shot.
Thanks for sharing your space, guys. I'm honored.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Mitch, enjoy the basketball game. Jordi, thank you. And guys, until next week, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you soon.
See you
Bye
guys.
for now.
See you.
Cheers.